studio, some very special guests who stopped by to say hello and also to share with us some great information and also some great music. Please welcome Mr. Detroit Brooks, a great friend of WWOZ. How you, Detroit?
Great. I'm great.
I'm glad to see you early this morning.
Yeah, I'm glad to be able to get up.
I know this is rough hours for a musician.
Yes, it is.
But we appreciate you, as always, for coming in. And this year, the 5th anniversary, Danny Barker Festival.
Yes, sir.
And you have been spearheading this from the very beginning.
Yeah, it's a joy, and I mean it's easier because you have people that participate with you,
Yes.
the musicians that are there for you, and they give out their heart, not only for me but for the love of Danny.
Yes, for Danny Barker, yes. And there's lots of activities this weekend, and they could, if anyone wants to find out more, they can go to the website.
Yes, Danny Barker, Danny Barker Banjo and Guitar. Festival.com.
Yes, indeed. Now you got some special guests with you this morning.
Yes, I had Mr. Seva Venet on the banjo, and Mr. Fabrizio Sote, who's going to be one of the artists that's going to perform today at NOCO. He's going to go and give a clinic, and he's performing tonight at the George and Joyce Ween Heritage Center.
Yes, indeed.
On Rampart Street.
And Fabrizio is not in New Orleans, but he's visiting for the festival.
For the festival, yeah.
He came from New York.
He's from New York. Okay,
yeah.
Dig it. So we're not going to hold y'all up. Y'all got your instruments already, and I'm quite sure you got a good set of tunes you want to lay on us this morning.
Yes, we're going to start off with one of Danny's favorites, When You're Smiling. I think you played that
yes.
before we did. And we can't do it like Danny. I can't sing it like Danny.
But it's always great to hear.
It's always a great song to sing, too.
Yes, indeed.
And then we're going to hear his experiences with Danny Barker and, his reading and stuff that he investigated to find out who Danny is.
All right. Once again, WWOZ 90.7 FM New Orleans, Mr. Detroit Brooks.
1, 2. When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing, keep on laughing, and the sun will come shining through. But when you're crying, it brings on the rain. So stop your crying and be happy again. When you're smiling, the whole world will smile with you. When you're smiling, keep on smiling, and the whole world will smile with you. When you're laughing, keep on laughing, and the sun will come shining through. But when you're crying, it brings on the rain. So stop your crying and be happy again. When you're smiling, the whole world will smile with you. When you're smiling, keep on smiling, and the whole world will smile with you. When you're laughing, keep on laughing, and the sun will come shining through. But when you're crying, it brings on the rain. So stop your crying and be happy again. When you're smiling, keep on smiling, and the whole world will smile. The whole world will smile. The whole world will smile with you.
Yes, indeed. When you're smiling.
Only way to go.
That's the only way to go, Detroit. And Detroit, you knew Danny personally.
Yes, I did. I met Danny through a previous marriage. He was a friend of my ex-wife's uncle, who was Ernie Cagnaletti, trumpet player with Preservation Hall.
Wow, yes.
And they lived. He lived at maybe about 3 or 4 blocks from Danny Barker. And every time he would come home from the trip with Preservation Hall, he would throw these big parties. And me being a musician, and his nephew, my ex-wife's brother, Edward Johnson, who was also a trombone player at Preservation Hall.
Yes.
He had a band that I played in.
Wow,
And
yes.
so that's where I met Leroy Jones.
Leroy, yeah.
We just didn't meet yesterday. Leroy, we've been knowing each other a long time.
Yes, indeed.
And we played in that band with Edward Johnson, who would play at these parties at my uncle's house. And then Danny would come over and hang out and tell. Most of the time he would tell his, he was a storyteller. He would tell stories and have people laughing and stuff, So he every once in a while he would say, "Let me play your guitar," but it wasn't often. He would come and have a good time with, the elders of the house.
And so he was an inspiration to you as well.
Oh, he's always an inspiration to. I don't know who he wasn't an inspiration to.
I mean, not just guitar players, but horn players and.
Believe it or not, the dancers. There's a young lady that's going to be performing on Sunday, Greer Mendy, who was inspired by Danny.
Dr. Mendy, a DJ here.
Of how Danny, it was the reason that she started dance, professionally. He saw her dancing and told her, "Just don't dance, do something with it." So he always inspired. He always had a word that motivated you, make you want to, pursue whatever it was you was dealing with.
Yeah, whatever you were given. Yeah. All right, and your side man with you this morning?
Oh yeah, that's my ace. That's the ace and hold. Everybody have to have an ace. That's mine. Yeah, he's always there for me. Mr. Seva Venet is always there, a great guy, and he's the closest to Danny's playing.
Yes, he is.
Everybody that we know of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's no accident.
That's no accident.
I never got to meet Danny Barker, but when I came to New Orleans in 1999, I got to work with a lot of people that learned from Danny, that were part of that Fairview Baptist band and that had worked with him professionally for years.
Yes.
And so that's where I learned that feeling and that style. Before I came here, I had already been playing New Orleans music and studying guitar for 12, 15 hours a day for years to learn about the harmony of the neck and to open up all the possibilities. And so when I heard Danny Barker, especially on the Save the Bones record,
yes,
where you can really hear his concepts of his harmonic concepts and rhythmic concepts, but also the rhythmic concept of it playing with the Tuba Fats band. So Tuba Fats and a lot of the people that were in his band came up in the Fairview Baptist band.
Yes.
So Tuba and Daryl Adams, who we just lost,
yes, indeed.
Those gentlemen were both part of that, the second incarnation of the Fairview Baptist band. And everybody that played out in the square had been affected or
influenced by Danny, yes.
Including some relatives of his, including Jerry Anderson.
The Barberman family, yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
And so that rhythmic approach that I learned came from, you could say, osmosis or from just living in it. And, there's a quote from Danny. He was interviewed a couple years before he passed at Jazz Fest, and somebody's asking him about the origins of the music. And at one point, he gets a little frustrated trying to explain this. He said, you could bring some Eskimos down from Alaska with their snow dogs. He says, bring them down here with their snow dogs and get them to play with some New Orleans musicians, and they will become New Orleans musicians.
Wow, yes.
And so that's where that's where I could come in. That's where I was able to adopt that style and really embody it through living out there
Yes.
with the Tuba Fats band
Yes.
for 4 years, and then playing at Donna's at night. So they were
Yeah,
long apprenticeship out there. And following that, with Lionel Ferbless band,
Yes.
again, you have people that were worked with Danny Barker and of course, old school New Orleans rhythmic concepts. And so I've been really blessed to be able to be bringing this style and the Danny Barker story forward, and
Yes.
being part of this heritage. I'm just so grateful to this man for inviting
Mr.
me every
Detroit,
year.
yes,
It's just-
indeed.
It's very meaningful and very special, and I'm very blessed to be here. Thank you.
Yes, and we appreciate always you coming in and the way you support WWOZ and the way you support music right here in the city as well.
Greatest
Yes,
city in
indeed.
the world.
Now, another guest you all have with y'all, Mr. Fabrizio, and he's also a student of the Danny Barker musically, or
Yeah. I mean, I know about Danny for a long time. I probably discovered his music through my grandmother when I was about like 10, 11 years old. And the incredible thing about Danny, I think, it's that he influenced so many generations of musicians, and he
Yes.
played with so many people. Starting from the traditional stuff to then going into the Dexter Gordon, Charlie Parker, Billie Holiday, and then going to modern times and collaborating like with Wynton Marsalis. And when he passed 25 years ago, I think he covered like 60 years of music or something, and really put his stamp, each decade on something that he was doing with the people that were big at that time.
at that time, yes, indeed. Now, you're originally from what, Italy?
I'm originally from Italy, and I moved to New York in 1991.
Yes, indeed.
And even though I'm a guitarist, but he was playing the banjo 6 strings, and for me that was,
Yes.
basically the same stuff. And I studied a lot of these rhythms and his voicings and stuff.
Now, Fabrizio, tonight you'll be with the Guitar Jam.
Yeah, tonight I'll be playing with the Guitar Jam and with Detroit, and I'm very happy to be here. This is my first time as a guest of the festival, and I hope to do many more. And the vibe is always great in New Orleans.
And you also have some music online or on CD.
Yeah, I sold about 50 million records in my life. Yeah, I have
About
a few,
50
I have,
million.
I have a few
Yeah.
songs out there. I've been
right.
making some music.
All right. Well, fellas, I know you got some more music you want to lay down. So once again, Mr. Detroit Book, Seva Venet, and Fabrizio is here. So, gentlemen,
Look, we're gonna just want to bring us a little attention to the banjo. We're doing a banjo evening tomorrow at the Mint, and that's from I think 2 to 6, or 2 to 4, and we'll be 4 solo banjo players talking about the history of the banjo and about Danny Barker. I just want to give one more shout out. Shannon Powell is the one that told me to buy the banjo. I didn't play banjo until I had been playing with tuba for many years, and later that brought me into the Treme Brass Band. But Shannon's the one that told me, I did one gig with him on a Mardi Gras float. He said, you sound like Danny Barker. I came up with Danny Barker. Buy a 6-string banjo, come by my house, and we're going to do things. And he's taken me all over the world with this banjo. So I'm grateful for that and grateful for the banjo.
all right.
One other thing too. Fabrizio today from 2:30 to 3:45 will be giving a clinic, a part of the clinic at NOCA.
At NOCA for the students,
Yes,
students
for the
of
students.
general public.
The general public is invited.
Okay, all right.
Come
then.
by, guys. I'm going to be talking about, jazz guitar, live, producing, writing music, and stuff that you don't find in the books.
All right then. And also, I'd like to mention all the listeners that this broadcast is live on video on the WWOZ website at wwoz.org if you want to see what these guys look like. So, well, fellas, go ahead. It's on you.
you over there. Hey là-bas. Hey là-bas. Hey là-bas, chérie. Comment ça va? Tout comme tout mon cher ami. Y'a les mila cuisine. Mon manger bien, tu bois du vin. Mon laissez-vous tranquille. Et là-bas, pardon my Mongol French. Et là-bas, chérie. Comment ça va? La journée manger au coubi au croissant. La manger à élalon. Voulez-vous, voulez-vous, maman comme un cochon. Et là-bas, et là-bas, et là-bas, chérie. Comment ça va? Et là-bas, et là-bas, et là-bas, et là-bas, et là-bas, chérie, et là-bas, chérie, comment ça va? Mademoiselle Josephine, la restée dans la rue Dauphine, la assez et pampée, passé sans petit jambe fin, et là-bas. Et là-bas, chérie, comment ça va? All day, all night, Marianne, take him to the Caribbean. Sitting in the sun, playing in the sand. All day, all night, Marianne, sitting on the seashore, playing in the sand. Oh, I love my Marianne, yes, I love my Marianne. Marianne, she don't love me. She ran off with the Portuguese. Don't ever trust the Portuguese. Check this out, we're gonna take her back to Africa, back to Nigeria, Swahili. Ready? Oh, we got your plane ticket? Oh, Akaraka, Kunasha mama, Kanking got no bone. Akaraka, Kunasha mama, Kanking got no bone. Yeah, Akaraka, Kunasha mama, Kanking got no bone. Akaraka, Kunasha mama, Kanking got no bone. Back to America. Hey, la ba. Et là-bas, et là-bas, chérie, comment ça va? Play a little bit. Merci beaucoup.
Merci
Muchas
beaucoup.
gracias.
Raka,
That was great, fellas. Danny was such a character and such a humorist. I mean, a comedian. I mean, he's just a total entertainer.
Yes, he was. And you know, that's one thing that people, no one would ever be able to capture is Danny's spirit.
His spirit, yes.
You know, that's something that he took with him. You know,
And a classy dresser.
Huh?
A classy dresser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you can perform and play and, you know, do whatever, but that's one thing that we will never be able to retain is Danny's spirit.
And I know we can't leave without mentioning Blue Barker, a very
Oh, well, that was
just
the back.
the-
That was the
the
backbone.
back, yes,
That was his backbone.
and a singer as well, and just his total partner.
Yeah, yeah. There was a team.
They were a team, yes. Yes. So once again, gentlemen, we'd like to thank you for coming in today. And also, I mentioned earlier, this is Detroit Brook, and he's spearheading the Danny Barker Festival. This is the 5th year, and you can go to the website. There's lots of activities going on this weekend all over town, and there's Fabrizio has a panel discussion today
From 2:30 to 3:45.
at NOCA.
And Nocum, yes.
And also tomorrow, the guitar player jam,
Yes.
late
that's
night.
Right.
Well, not too late night.
No, anyway, and nothing is too late now.
Nothing is too late in New Orleans. And also, you all be at different venues around town.
Yeah, we're going. Excuse me. Most of the activities is going to be at the Jazz Museum
Yes,
Saturday and Sunday. Saturday night we had Bullets.
with the
Bullet
jam.
Sports Bar on
Yes.
AP2 Road, and then Sunday night we're at the Marcellus Center. That's where we're going to do our grand finale.
All right, and you having a second line as well this
And-
year?
Huh?
Are you having a second line this year again?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm
Young
sorry. The
People's
second line
Second
is
Line.
Sunday, and I'm glad you said that because the time was 11, but we changed it to 12 because of the police escort.
situation,
They
okay.
wouldn't be able to do it until 12 o'clock.
And hopefully it'll be over before the Saints game start.
I think so. We're gonna have TVs on the back of the truck.
On the route, yes.
You know, it's on the route so that people can.
Well, guys, y'all want to do like maybe a short one before y'all roll out or something?
Do it tomorrow. Do it tomorrow. Something.
I don't
Do it
sing
tomorrow.
that.
I don't
I
say
can do
it.
Giacomo Fino.
You need to do something. There's something that pop them
I
out.
can rock it, mom.
And once again, you're in tune to WWOZ 90.7 FM in New Orleans. My name is Keith, and coming up next, the Louisiana Music Show is Mr. Bill DeTurk. He's in the house, so please stay tuned. And here is Detroit Brooks and friends with
Giacomo Fino.
Giacomo Fino.
But
Rock your mama.
right before we go into that, though, man, we would like to take a moment, ask for everyone to take a moment, man, and do a silent prayer for Todd Duke.
Yes, yes.
And Daryl Adams,
also Darryl
two people,
Adams,
two of our
yes.
brothers that we've lost this over the
this
last
past
week,
couple
huh?
weeks,
2 weeks,
yeah.
over the 2 weeks, and you know, so and also Father Ledoux.
And Father Ledoux, yes.
Yeah, so we just take a moment if we
Just-
can,
yeah.
and just, you know.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Let's go. What key we got? B flat.
Giacomo Fino, hey. Giacomo Fino, hey. I'm gonna shake 'em on down on Mardi Gras Day. Giacomo Fino, hey. Giacomo Fino, hey. Giacomo Fino, hey. I'm gonna drink much wine on Mardi Gras Day. Giacomo Fino, hey. You better stop messing around. You better stop messing around. Cause the boss is gonna put you in the cold, cold ground. Giacomo Fino, hey. Now the Mississippi's deep and wide. Mississippi's deep and wide. It was a sad, sad day when the fool jumped in. Giacomo Fino, hey. You better leave my wife alone. You better leave my wife alone. Cause if I catch you, you'll be dead and gone. Giacomo Fino, hey. Giacomo hey. Giacomo Fino, hey. I'm gonna drink much wine on Mardi Gras Day. Giacomo Fino, hey. Giacomo Fino, hey. Giacomo Fino, hey. I'm gonna shake 'em on down on Mardi Gras Day. Giacomo Fino, hey. Well, you better stop messing around. You better stop messing around. 'Cause the boss is gonna put you in the cold, cold ground. Giacomo Fino, hey. Mississippi's deep and wide. Mississippi's deep and wide. It was a sad, sad day when the fool jumped in. Giacomo Fino, hey. You better leave my wife alone. You better leave my wife alone. 'Cause if I catch you, you'll be dead and gone. Giacomo Fino, hey. Yes, the monkey's got a pretty face. The monkey's got a pretty face. Just go look in the looking glass. The monkey's got a pretty face.
You're listening to WWOZ 90.7 FM, New Orleans.